Fischer. This is 10 Minutes to Inspire.
Welcome, Eileen Akbaraly, CEO and co-founder of Made for a Woman.
Hi, nice to meet you. So happy to be here today.
And I would really like to know, if you had to define an endeavor that really describes you best, what would it be?
So I think it's creating Made for a Woman, the company I started 5 years ago. To give you a bit of context, I grew up in Madagascar. I'm half Italian, half Indian. My father is fourth generation Madagascar. And I grew up in one of the poorest countries in the world, one of the top 10 poorest countries in the world. And I've always been an empath. And an empath is someone who's able to really feel the feelings of somebody else as if they're their own. And so being surrounded by continuous contrasting lives and injustices was really, really unbearable for me as a feeling and living in that environment. And so, it came from the idea, right? The idea of wanting to change the world, to do something, a bit delusional almost, right? A utopian dream. And then that idea went into a feeling, right? Because I felt so powerless in helping others and doing something more to others, because I really believe that part of my mission is to be in service to others. And then together, that feeling of wanting to change the world and that idea of the injustices made me create a focused vision, which is Made for a Woman. And that's how I manifested something tangible, creating a beautiful company with more than 800 people every day, working with extreme vulnerable individuals and proving to the world that you don't need to have, amazing education. You don't need to be the most intellectual person in the room. All you need is to be reminded of how amazing you are as a human being and have that self-worth that our society forgets to remind us and to convince us otherwise. And yeah, so I guess that's it.
But listening to this story, it's as if you found inspiration in so many things, in so many people, in so many smells, and probably, the tastes that probably a country like Madagascar can suggest and inspire. But if you had to probably tell us who or what mainly inspired you as of today in your life, who would that be?
So my biggest sources of inspiration, I really do think my parents are definitely part of it. My father comes from nothing and he really built himself to be extremely successful. He's manifested so much discipline, so much hard work, a lot of optimism. He's an amazing entrepreneur, and I hope, I take from that as well. And my mother has always been involved in social impact work, foundations, orphanages. So I really grew up in an environment exposed to different types of realities that made me realize how blessed I was in my environment. But today I can say that my biggest sources of inspiration are the artisans that I work with every day. As I was saying, I work with GBV survivors, prostitutes, sex workers, disabled individuals, single mothers. And we have a space, we have the atelier where we work together every day. And they come from very complicated backgrounds. They have a lot of issues at home. But not one day do I see them come in and not smiling. And so that is a big lesson, I think, to everybody, right? To remind yourself to live in the present tense, that you're disassociated from your environment. You shouldn't represent yourself by what you have, what you possess, how much money you have. We should remind ourselves, and we should remember that we're all human beings that are just here to be cared for and to be loved. And they just remind me of how vulnerable they allow themselves to be in difficulty and in their lives. And for me, it's the biggest source of inspiration. I mean, every time I need to visualize why I do what I do, because sometimes I ask myself why I do what I do, I think of them, I think of their smiles, I think of, they're my angels. And I always tell them, they think they work for me. I always tell them that I'm working for them because they have taught me everything I know today.
But then talking about this, do you believe that you do purpose with profit or profit with purpose?
Purpose with profit, 100%. It's the foundation of who we are. We've been pretty successful in 5 years, working with some of the biggest luxury houses in the world, collaborating with some of them for the first time. Chloé and Fendi, for instance, which are a few of the many that we work with from the group LVMH, Richemont. And for the first time, these brands have wanted to communicate officially on our collaboration, finally giving a voice to the people behind the scene and giving value to the Made in Madagascar. And so, I always tell people, and because they always ask me, how have you done this in 5 years? And I never know what to tell them because, I don't know. When I tell them it's based on love and compassion, it sounds almost banal, but it's true. This is the foundation of everything we do. It's our business model.
You say banal. Can we say that simplicity is a drive for innovation?
Yes. So yes, I completely agree. I truly, truly believe that authenticity lives in simplicity, and that our society has been so, overstimulated by our minds, by everything that happens around us, that we forget what truly matters. And at the end of the day, that's us, people, planet, nature, animals. We forget that. So, yeah.
So you've just described somehow one or a part or the big, ecosystem. If you had to identify which node of the ecosystem you are part of, which node are you and which ecosystem is the one that you are thriving in?
So I think I've been pretty great at connecting different worlds. So the handicraft world, with the luxury houses, Africa, Europe, purpose, business. So I really believe that I've been able to be a human facilitator of collaborations through a shared vision, through trust and dignity.
And you still need to talk with investors, right? To enable your venture. And how is your experience and which challenges have you faced in bringing this narrative and this purpose for profit vision into the equation of engaging with them?
So the investor situation has just begun because everything was at the beginning self-funded, and then after 3 years we became a for-profit. No, is that how you say it? We became a profitable company. Yeah. Sorry, it's also for-profit. So we've actually just recently started talking to investors because we want to scale, and we have very, very, we have very detailed objectives and very particular goals that we want to attain in the next 2 years. And it's funny because, I'm 30 and I do look younger than my age. So when I walk into a room and there's, a lot of men and a lot of older men, and I'm not a financial person. So at first they kind of look at me like, who is this young brown girl from Africa? But then I think, I believe in my project so much. I talk with, it's really my reason of existence. It's who I am. It's my whole body. It's my essence. It's not my mind. It's not my verbality. It's who Eileen is in this journey as Eileen on this planet. And so I inspire, I guess. I inspire them to believe in what we do, but also because we've been able to create an innovative business model in the luxury sector. Textile and manufacturing is a sector that employs so many people in developing and underdeveloped countries. And we forget about them. We forget about the supply chain. We forget about it. And so we need to remember. We need to tell their stories. We need to know where our materials come from. We need to know how our employees feel. And so I take it so personally that, and they're all interested in investing now. So, so it's been great.
And we're great. And we're having you here to tell us the story and talking about what, the sustainability, fashion. It's at the, it's at the core of lots of the debate of the possibility of making it really, sustainability into fashion. So how do you see, what are you bringing to the table with your experience?
What we're bringing to the table is different ecosystems that intersect with each other, right? Which create our business model, but which creates, even the business models that, today we're going to be talking about. And so, I don't find that our business model is innovative, but apparently in this planet, in this society, it's innovative to care about the planet and to care about people. And so in that essence, we work on 3 different pillars: social impact, So emotional and psychological support on a daily basis to all of our employees, working with psychologists, doctors, medical teams, assistant workers, and so forth. We're working on a traceability and sustainability project, the first traceability project dedicated to our raw material in Madagascar with the support of the Minister of the Environment and this other social enterprise called Bondi. So being able to control our supply chain and know and certify what's happening through blockchain AI. And the third pillar is handicraft and savoir-faire. So how do we give value back to the made in Africa, the made in Madagascar, that it's not linked to something exotic or a devalued kind of material? We need to remind the world that everything is co-creation and there's no need for oppression or control, and that the future of the world is collaboration. So yeah, those are the three worlds that we're part of.
So in this description of the ecosystem that you put together and you connect, so thank you very much for being today with us here
Thank you.
at Tech.Emotion video podcast, 10 Minutes to Inspire.
Thank you.